I'm Phyllis. I live in my van. I was hard and cold and angry before I started this trip. I didn't want to be that way here. And I tried to not be that way here. I've been trying. But Joe, when you've been hard and cold and angry for most of your life, and you decide not to be that way anymore, it's like you're like a newborn with emotions. I mean, I have no thick skin. If I throw off that, I don't know how to balance not being a hard, cold person with dealing with men like that, people like that in general. I don't know. I want to run. Y'all, I want to run. I quit my camp host job, and I want to tell you about that. I'm sorry I'm not doing it in a pretty place. I've been putting it off. I quit about, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I love that job. I loved it so much. I love my boss. She was super awesome. I love her to death. Like, ride or die girl I was to her. So I hated to do it. I really hated to, because I knew the work was going to fall on her. There was a sewage spill on the campground one afternoon. I came back from my other campground, on that campground, doing all my stuff, and a truck pulling a big trailer had ran aground his trailer on top of one of the pylons around the feet area. There's big wooden posts. So his trailer was actually up on top of one of the wooden posts, which is about, 4 feet high. And so he couldn't move. His trailer was on top of this post. So I backed up, because I just pulled in and this had happened. I backed up, I took pictures, I texted my boss, and she texted her boss and told him what was going on. And so I got people out of the way, and I actually got permission to use my chainsaw to cut the post down so he could get his trailer off, because he was totally blocking half of the campground where he was. And I'd heard we weren't supposed to use chainsaws in the national forest. So I got permission, but I cut off the posts. So he got his trailer off and he left. I got his info. So anyway, my boss tells me this other person's coming, but who came was my boss's boss. Actually, the guy who hired me. It was really strange. So, I'm in my work day, and actually I'd already worked my hours, but you still gotta take care of the people in your house. And I really thought about that campground. Anyway. So my boss's boss showed up with another campground host in the truck. And before that, another employee had come Very nice man. So we had started digging up the soil that was contaminated with the sewage and putting it in plastic bags. And believe me, that was not a small task. We'd been doing that for I don't know how long, how many bags, and shovelfuls of sewage filled dirt into bags for an hour and tell me how that is. So, but we were trying to clean it up, because it was raw sewage on the ground, and the odor was, when we first started, it was really bad. By the end, it honestly very much dissipated. But so the other employee told him what we had done from the other side of the truck, and my boss's boss, who was in the driver's seat, turned towards me and said, "Who told you to dig? I didn't tell you to dig." So the other employee who'd been working with me said, "Well, we'd be happy to stop digging." And I said, "Yeah, we didn't want to dig," because I thought he must be joking because who would say something like that in that kind of situation? And I said, I'm happy to stop digging. He said, "You'll dig if I tell you to dig." To me. That pissed me off. And y'all, I should have just given him the fucking finger. Because I know that man. That man's a bully. That man is my second husband. He's my first husband. He's that fucking boyfriend I had after the both of them. He's my father. I don't need that shit. But I'm so... I didn't tell him to fuck off. I was a little passive aggressive to him after that. Like, I offered the other two gentlemen water. I guess that's passive aggressive and not him. But you don't talk to people like that. After my boss's boss and the other camp host left, the other employee who'd been helping me bag the dirt and we sat down in my little screen shelter and we talked. And I said, is it just me, or did I overreact? He said, "No, that guy's a prick. He's a prick. He was like that one time to my wife, and she got so upset she was crying and she wanted to quit." And I'd met that lady, his wife, and she seemed like just a very sweet person, and a woman. And I could tell that guy had a thing in it for women, the way he directed his abuse at me. So I thought, okay, it's not just me. And I thought, and he said she didn't want to complain. She didn't want to make a fuss. Because he said he asked her if she wanted to complain to, the company, to human resources. And she said she didn't want to make a fuss. And I know that's what happens with, especially, I don't know, maybe women of any age, but women of my age and older, and she was a little bit older than I was, and we're taught to not make waves, to, be nice, and I thought, well, I can, maybe she was scared of losing her job, which, that could happen. And I thought, well, I'm in a position where I love this job to fucking death, but I'm not worried about being fired. Like, I can get another job or live without a job, So I decided after that conversation that I was going to make a complaint to human resources. I texted my boss to give her a heads up that I was going to do that, because if they're any kind of company and they do investigations, then they'll probably be contacting her. So she's so awesome. I wanted to at least give her a heads up of what I was doing. So I talked to her and I told her what happened and when I was going to do the complaint. And she said, yeah, I talked to that lady, that guy's wife, and she was really upset and she wanted to quit. So I thought maybe I'm doing the right thing, you know. So I did that complaint, and I texted the phone number I found for that married couple, just because I wanted, and I told the guy when he was there, I said, tell your wife that someone else is complaining. I said, I'm not telling her to do anything, but just so she knows that someone is speaking up. I said, you can use my name to her or anyone, that I'm not afraid and I'm speaking up. This man is a bully and he's a misogynist. I texted her. I said, this is Phyllis, yada, yada. And I said, I just want to let you know that I made a complaint about this person to Human Resources. And I said, do you want to talk about it? And she left me a voicemail, which I didn't get till later. I just saw the missed call, so I called her back. And this is the thing. And I still don't understand it. So I told her, about, I guess I didn't tell her much. I already told her I had a run-in with that guy and I made a complaint, and I just want to let her know. And that was pretty much most of what I said the whole conversation, because she got really mad. She got really mad. I don't even know why. I told her I didn't name her in the complaint. I didn't name anyone. But she got mad. Yeah, fine, she wants to just get mad and say it never happened, which she did. Yeah, I laugh it off. It's no big deal. Fine. I don't care about that. But then, why are you mad at me? You just seem really angry. And I hadn't done anything to her. I didn't do anything to her. And I thought, I thought I was sticking up not just for me, but for her too when I made that complaint. And then she gets really mad at me on the phone, and I didn't understand why. I still don't understand why. And then she said, I don't know what it's going to be when we see each other. It's going to be weird, and I'm going to be mad. No, she didn't say I'm going to be mad, but she's just like, I don't know what it's going to be like. Like, she wasn't yelling at me or anything. It's like on the phone, I was like, I don't know what it's going to be like when I see you. I don't know. So with this job that I love. I don't think I'd even made that complaint if I hadn't talked to that gentleman and heard about his wife. I think I would have just waited for the next opportunity to tell him to fuck off. So I was defending that lady and me. I'm not saying it's not me too. And then she was not just mad for, I don't know what reason, but then she's gonna make it weird for me whenever she sees me. I don't know what it's gonna be like when I see you. I'm not looking for that kind of drama. I love that job. And my boss, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but I don't need that guy and that lady treat me bad. I don't need it. I couldn't have both of those. And I'm sorry I ran off the way I did. I ran off like a baby. I packed my stuff at night and I ran off in the morning. I left all my stuff with another camp host. And I just texted my boss, "I'm sorry, I'm gone," because I didn't want to face her. So all that was super fun. And then I got a voicemail from Human Resources asking if the reason I quit was related to my complaint. So I called back 2 days later. I've got very spotty cell service. And she doesn't know who I am. I was like, "Well, you left me a voicemail message." And she said, "Well, let me figure it out and I'll call you back." So I said, "Fine." So 15 minutes later, she hadn't called me back. So I called her back and I said, "Do you want me to help you figure out what that call was about?" And she said, "Yeah." So I told her, she said, "Oh, this has been transferred over to someone else." And, oh no, first she tried to tell me that we'd spoken on the phone before. And I swore to her that we had not spoken on the phone before. That took me a few minutes to convince her, until finally I said I'd take a screenshot of my recent phone calls. So then she said my complaint had been passed over to someone else and that they had contacted me before she sent the voicemail, or after. And it wasn't after, it was before. So the complaint's going to go nowhere. So nothing came of all of this. The complaint's going to get lost in the woodwork from those, I'm sure, hardworking human resources people. The complaint's going to go nowhere. I quit a job I loved. And now my boss is fucked, and the area is fucked, and all those wonderful campers there are fucked too from not having their own campground host. So it was all shit that didn't mean anything and ended up as nothing. So I'm going to show you, if you're curious, the letter I wrote to Human Resources, my complaint, with personal information redacted. And I'm going to play the voicemail from the wife of that coworker who kind of, I felt like, well, she definitely got mad at me for nothing, but I felt like throwing me under the bus. So there's not much to hear in that voicemail. It's what she left after I texted her and before we spoke on the phone. But I do think it's interesting the way she reacts compared to the way she was with me on the phone. And then at the end, I'm going to show some pictures of the campground. And it was just a shitty situation that I'm sorry happened, and I wish I was still there now. And Ms. T, I cut out the beginning of the voicemail where she says her name and her husband's name, and then I offered to show both of them the complaint that I'd made.
And he doesn't really want to see what you wrote. He really just feels like he doesn't want to get involved. And I wasn't there, so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know, if you're really concerned about things.
Here she mentions talking to my boss.
Rather than going immediately to HR, that's just where I'd start. But at the same time, like I said, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened, and you got to do what's right for you, Anyway, I hope you get this message, and I'm sorry. Take care. Bye. Oops. She's trying to call me.